Annyeonghaseyo! Welcome to episode 9 of Soul Searching, my epic video diaries. This week, kids are back. All right! Cue that Backstreet Boys song if you didn't get it. The kids are back. So I'm going to be talking about what it's like being back in all 5 of my schools. I taught my very first in-person class of the year on May 14th, and I know that was almost a month ago now, but I wanted to wait until I was back in all of my schools to talk about what the experience was like being back at all of my schools and what it's like to have all my kids. Quiz time! May 14th was a Thursday, which means I was at which school? What is Shindok Elementary School? Cheers if you got it! So the 14th was my first day teaching at Shindok. I actually was sick. That was the Thursday right before I recorded the video where I was complaining a bunch about living in Imshil. I was sick on that Thursday. I felt sick during the day, but I made it through. I had some really good kids. And it's just nice. It's so nice being back at school. What can I say? So because this video has been a culmination of the past several weeks, almost a month at this point, of videos, I can't exactly remember what I took videos of when. So I'm just gonna do an overall what it's like being back at school, and then I'll give a few little notes about each individual school. Overall, I would say 2 thumbs up. I came to Korea to teach English, and now I'm finally doing that in person. So I'm doing the job that I came here to do, which is really nice. I hated sitting around my apartment. I'm not one of those people who can just be happy sitting around all day. I need to be moving. I need to get out of my apartment. I need to be out doing stuff in the world. So being back at my schools when the kids weren't there was fine, but sometimes I felt like I was distanced from my job as a part of the social distancing practice, and that was really difficult for me. I feed off of the energy of the kids when I am teaching them. That's something that's been consistent for me through teaching dance, through teaching music, through teaching theater classes, through tutoring. When I was tutoring Italian and when I tutored Hebrew, having the kids in the room and having them respond to what you're giving them is a really important aspect of teaching. So having that back has been definitely an improvement to the whole teaching in Korea. I guess a natural continuation of that sentence or that thought process would be that now that we're in person, I can actually track the progress of my kids and know where they are at. When I was just making videos, as easy as it sometimes was for me, I had no way of checking in with the students. Some of the ones that I was doing Google Classroom with or Zoom classes with, I was able to kind of keep track of, but for all my students who I just did videos for, I had no idea if they were doing the work at home, if they were doing the worksheets, or if they were even watching the video. So now I can see where they are in their level and how much more we need to do, which makes the whole experience way better for everyone involved. Getting to know these kids in person, I'm seeing their personalities shine through, which means I can cater my lessons to what they actually want and what they like, what types of games they like, what are their learning styles. And that makes my job a whole lot easier, because even though it means that I'm paying attention to a lot of different personalities and a lot of different learning styles, it means that I can make the lessons applicable for these kids. And I know that my work is not fruitless, that they will actually get something out of it because they're liking the content, or they're liking the type of game that I'm using, or it appeals to their learning style. And that is like The whole goal of being a teacher is getting your kids to learn in a way that is meaningful to them. Not to mention, all of these kids, or at least most of them, are so damn cute. There are several kids that I have who during the 10-minute window they have between classes, because classes are 40 minutes and then you have a 10-minute break and then another 40 minutes and so on and so forth, they will come and seek me out, and even if they can't speak in full English sentences, they sometimes just like sitting there in the classroom with me. Like at Shindok, I have kids who, even if they can't ask me questions, they'll just come in and they'll hang out in my room with me because they want to hang out with me. They think I'm cool, or at least that's what I'm assuming they're doing, because, I mean, it's true. But seriously, some of these kids will have conversations with me. Some of my 6th grade boys asked me to come sit down with them during a break last week just to ask me questions like my favorite food and my favorite color and my favorite band, my favorite movie, a whole slew of things, just because they wanted to get to know me better. And being around that just makes me so happy. Another reason to be grateful that the kids are back is the return of school lunches. Not that all of them are amazing by any means, but before I had to check in pretty much every day to see if I was bringing lunch, or if I was bringing part of my lunch, or if we'd be going out, or I just remembering to text my co-teachers every single time was, I'd forget a lot. I can't eat all of the lunches most days, either because of gluten or pork. And there is a little video later in this vlog video about that you'll see. So one of the not super fun things about gluten is that it's in everything, and I'm allergic to it. So I got rice today. Actually, this is the second time this week that this has happened. I got my rice today, sat down, and then I realized there was barley mixed in with the rice. So I spent all of my lunch so far pulling out barley. Last one here. Picking all that barley out. One of my kids asked me if I hated Korea, and that's why I wasn't eating my bibimbap. But I felt so bad. Most people understand that there's gluten, like I say I can't eat flour, but then barley happens. Barley happens, so. I'm the last one here eating lunch because I spent all this time picking out the barley, and there's probably still gonna be some in there. Can't wait for that stomach ache later. But you know, school lunches are back and I can pick around the things that I can't eat. I'm just happy that I don't have to do as much thinking because I'm doing a whole lot of thinking about other stuff for school. Pop quiz, how many lesson plans do I write in a week? We're not waiting for the whole song this time. So, 13. I write 13 lesson plans a week. And yes, that is as consolidated as I can possibly get with all of the classes that I teach, all 21 classes. 13 lesson plans is a lot of lesson plans to be writing in a week, especially when you consider all the time and effort that goes into making the lesson plan and then making the PPTs, PowerPoints that normally go along with the lesson, and making any of the materials that are required for the lesson. So it can be as short as 30 minutes or so, or as long as an hour and a half, sometimes even 2 hours I've taken to write and create all the materials for a lesson plan. Those are the kids that I really care about. I know as a teacher I shouldn't say that because we're not supposed to have favorites, but like, let's be real. We all do, and I think you already know mine. If you did the math, that's a minimum of 6.5 hours per week writing lesson plans, and at most 26 hours of lesson planning a week. Now, the nice thing is most of the time it's a mixed bag. So there'll be some lesson plans I write in a week that are only half hour to contrast the sometimes 2-hour ones that I write. So it's not always 26 hours a week that I'm spending lesson planning. But either way, it's still a lot when you add it all up together. So one of the downsides about being back in school is doing this full load of lesson planning, writing and creating and making materials, which means I'm busy all the time. Most of my friends only work at one school, and so when I sit and talk and compare notes with them, we have very, very different experiences. All my friends at the English Center, those lucky duck teachers, so everyone else in Imshil except for Matthew, they all write one lesson plan for elementary school and one lesson plan for middle school, and that's it. And they teach it over and over and over again. I might be mistaken. They might write like 2 or 3 for elementary and 2 or 3 for middle school, but that's still only maybe 6, and I write twice that in a week. That's crazy. I was in Gwangju this past weekend with Emmy and Maddie, and they were talking about their schools and what they do in their free time. And I was like, wait, free time? You guys have free time? What's that like? I actually asked them what they do after school, because I come home and maybe I'll go for a run or I'll do some exercise just to get my body moving after either just standing all day or spending all the time that I have not teaching at school, making lesson plans for school. I'll spend that time sitting. So I gotta get my body moving, and then I'll come home and I'll write lesson plans, because that's the only way to get through all of the work that I have to do in a week. All of this work is, of course, very stressing, and I can feel my face breaking out in pimples, most of which I covered up. Thanks, makeup. But some of this acne is definitely stress related because I write so many lesson plans a week. Also, because I am writing so many lesson plans and I'm bringing my work home with me, I tend to get less sleep, or I've been getting less sleep since starting back at all of my schools. Some of that is because my brain won't shut off and I'm still thinking about lesson plans when I'm trying to fall asleep. And some of that is because I'm staring at my computer for so long into the night and I don't give myself quite enough time to decompress and have off-screen time because I'm so tired, and then it gets worse because I can't fall asleep right away. So not a great cycle. The last not fun thing about being back in school is wearing a mask all the time. Some of that is just general discomfort. I mean, having this part of your face covered up all day long, it can be hard to breathe, and that has definitely also contributed to some of these acne spots. A combination of that stress and breathing into the same mask all day, that's not good for your skin. But what I actually find more stressful about wearing the mask is that it's hard to teach another language when you can't look at someone's lips and mouth and teeth moving. There are so many sounds in the English language that differ from that of Korean, and so when they can't see my face, it makes it really difficult for me to teach them correctly. You know, for example, there is no F sound in the Korean language. So P is often the sound that's put in place of it. So for example, hand phone is what they call cell phones. You know what a cell phone is. Hand phone. So the kids will say handphone, which phone is not what we're looking for. We're looking for phone. And so before, when I was teaching my classes online, I could lean up really close into the camera and show them and explain to them that you put your bottom lip up against your teeth for a sound instead of p. But in order to take my mask off, I have to stand very far away from the kids, which means they can't see my face that well anyways. And so that, I think, is definitely affecting some of the teaching, but it could be worse. The masks are to keep everyone safe and to keep everyone healthy. So of course, I'm happy to wear one if it keeps everyone safe, but it does make it a little difficult. So I guess onto each of my schools individually now. We'll start at the beginning, as Julie Andrews once said, a very good place to start. And we'll move on from there. So Monday. Monday is Daddy Elementary, and things are going fine. I started teaching at Daddy on the 25th of May for the first in-person classes. We were just doing phone calls up until then. And for the most part, the kids are great. I have a few students with special needs, and only one of them I was told about beforehand. And it's just helpful to know so that I can give the kids extra assistance and make sure that they always have either myself or my co-teacher nearby to smooth things out and make things a little bit clearer. Third and fourth grade are totally wild. They totally drain my energy. Sometimes the third grade, they don't participate at all. And so it takes a lot of pushing for them to do something. And then for fourth grade, it's the exact opposite. They're coming from like way up here and I have to bring them down. So that's a nice little dichotomy that brings some interest to my day. Fifth and sixth are good. I love that sixth grade class because they're really supportive. I do have one student in that class who needs a little bit of extra help, and they don't make fun of him at all. They're very supportive. They'll help him out with the answers, and it's really wonderful to see the community stand up for him. It makes my heart really warm. I did have some trouble this past week though with my co-teacher not really being involved in my lesson. When we were doing phone call lessons, he was very active. He sat on the phone for the whole time. And now he's pulling back a little bit, which definitely causes some stress for me because the kids don't always understand every single word that I say. And having someone to just kind of guide them and give them a little bit of the Korean that they know to make them feel comfortable is helpful. And I'll sometimes start classes and he won't be there, or he'll leave in the middle of classes, or he'll be doing something else in the middle of class. So that's a conversation that I think I'm going to have with him probably next week, just asking honestly for a little bit more support, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll go well. But I do really like the school. I have my own English classroom there, so I don't have to be moving around the school. And the principal is super, super lovely, as is the rest of the staff. Everyone's really nice. They brought me a rice cake last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. But they made sure that I could eat all of it before even offering it to me. So it's nice to know that they care. Today was my very first day at Imshil Elementary School with my kids. The third and fourth graders were back in school last week when I came back after my 2-week hiatus enforced by the principal. But I'm back now and the kids are back, and I have 4 6th grade classes and 3 5th grade classes. I'm only allowed to teach 6 a day though, according to my contract. So one of the classes I will not see for an entire month. They figured out a schedule in which one class doesn't see me for a whole month and they trade off. So the schedule will change over the course of all of the rest of the months of the school year. And this month I'm not teaching first class of 5th grade. I'll just see them in July. Today was just an intro day, a little warm-up to English class. So my co-teacher gave a little lecture about expectations and rules for the remainder of the semester and for next semester. I don't know why I didn't just say year. But expectations, rules, guidelines for the year, and a schedule for the year. And then I introduced myself. We played 2 truths and a lie. And none of the kids think that I have lived in 4 countries before. That's always the one that they raise their hand for being wrong. And then they're so amazed that that is true. I had them guess the other 2 countries since I had already told them about Australia and the US in my intro questions. So they did a really good job of guessing. Most of the time they were guessing Western countries for the first few, like Canada, or I got a lot of England, but then some genius kid in the back would say Korea, and the whole class would go, ah! And that was a lot of fun to see. And then for Ghana, it was really cool to see the kids. They would be guessing all over the world, and then I would give them the continent of Africa, and they would all like, and one kid would just, Ghana? And it was almost always the first one that they guessed, which is really, really impressive. I know plenty of adults who would not have guessed Ghana as a choice, let alone the first choice. This is my biggest school, so it's a lot of kids. I teach almost 200 kids just at Imshil Elementary, and that is just 5th and 6th grade. I don't even get to see 3rd and 4th grade because I'm so busy teaching 5th and 6th grade. Some of the classes are really energetic and enthusiastic. One of the 5th grade classes that I taught today, because I'm not teaching one of the 5th grade classes at all, but my first 5th grade class of the day after lunch was already, they were already saying after the first day, they're like, we love English class. This is so exciting. And so that's really heartwarming because when I first got to the school, I was warned that some of these kids might be really, really troubling, either because they're too quiet or because they're too energetic, 2 very different ends of the spectrum, and that a lot of them didn't like English. But hearing them say that, even if it's just, the very first day in an intro class, definitely warms my heart and makes me feel like I belong and I'm doing something important here. GISA on Wednesdays. You've heard me talking about GISA before. Those kids are back and they are interesting. Unlike many of my other schools, I much prefer the younger kids at this school, 3rd and 4th grade. They're way more energetic. They're way more enthusiastic. I have this one kid in 6th grade, Minju, who I swear to God that we could be doing something very simple. I'll ask him what his name is, how to spell his name in English, and he'll give me the dirtiest look, like I'm asking him to pull out his teeth and be happy about it. And a lot of the 5th and 6th grade are like that. 5th grade is a little bit better. It's only 2 of them. There are 4 in 6th grade. But all of the 6th graders are kind of down, don't really love English. And the 5th graders just are bad at English. One of my 5th graders straight up doesn't know the alphabet. And that's a problem because they're in 5th grade and they started learning in 3rd grade. So, but that's what I'm here for. That's my job. So we're working hard at the alphabet for that 5th grader. The other 5th grader is writing some basic words, which is really good, but he needs a lot of guidance, and it just takes a lot of energy and patience to keep them motivated to get through all of the lessons. Thursdays at Shindok have been pretty great. The very first week that I taught them in person, we did a review of lesson 1. And then the second week, we did a review of lesson 2. And they actually remembered a lot of what I had taught them in the videos, which is fantastic. It means that they were watching them, and though all that talking was not for nothing. And then the week after that, on the 28th of May, sorry, I have my calendar. This was from May. June looks kind of sad and empty right now. But May 28th, we went on a field trip to a dairy farm. If you saw my last video, the Imshil cheese crawl, you know that cheese is a very, very, very big deal in Imshil. And so a lot of the kids, a pretty regular, or not regular, but annual or biannual school trip, field trip. God, what is English? Words are hard. Now I understand why my kids have such trouble with it. We went on a field trip. We went to a dairy farm, and it was actually, so on Thursdays is my farthest north school, and Wednesdays is my farthest south school. And when I went into work on that day at my furthest north school, we drove all the way down and just past my Wednesday school. We just passed GSED. That's where the dairy farm was. So I like waved at the school from the bus. Not that anyone there could see me, but I thought that was funny. I took a little video of it, I believe. So here's that. But the kids had a lot of fun. They made cheese and they got to try their cheese. No one got to milk any cows, but they did get to pet them and feed them. And I took some really cute videos of some of my students hanging out with the cows and making their cheese. Field trip time.
천천히 내려보자. 자, 됐어요. 담가놓으세요.
And then last week, I was pretty fortunate that my 5th and 6th graders went to the English Center, which means I only taught 4th grade on that day. And I spent the rest of the day, you guessed it, lesson planning. I was actually able to get just a little bit ahead on some of my extra work so that I did not have so much to do for the start of this week / over the weekend, though I did have some stuff to do still. But as I said, Shindok is good and I like being there. I have my own English classroom and the kids like to just plop on in and sit with me, and sometimes we'll have a little bit of a conversation. Like last week when the 5th graders came back, they both came like running back up to my room and they sat in and they were like, this is all that we learned at the English Center, and we met Ethan teacher and Crystal teacher, and it was really cute. So I really like them. And I also, it's the only school that I know all of the kids' names because there are only 8 of them. Ha! And then there's my Friday school. Oh, Ma'am, how you bring me so much joy. I love teaching at Ma'am. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. It is the worst commute by far because it's a 7 a.m. bus and then 40 minutes of waiting for another bus then, but it's so worth it. Every single Friday when I get off the bus, I take a deep breath in, and suddenly all of the stress from the week and from my commute just melt away. The air always smells sweet. I don't even know how else to describe it, but it brings me serenity. And then I look out over the beautiful scenery, the lake and the mountains, and I am met with so much joy just in nature around me. And then when the kids show up, it gets so much better. The kids are energetic and engaged in and outside of the classroom. They genuinely want to learn, not just English, which I get to see them experience, but sometimes they'll ask me questions about other subjects, or they'll tell me about what's going on in their other classes because they're just so excited about learning. And those kinds of kids are the easiest and the most fun to teach. I took a little video, I think 2 weeks ago now, at Ma'am, and I was just so happy when I was taking that video. The kids were out playing and the weather was beautiful. And so here is that. Wow, what a perfect day, at least so far. I've taught my first 3 in-person classes for Ma'am. So I taught 4th grade, 5th grade, and 6th grade. I should probably take this off a little bit. And just had lunch, and it was a good lunch. And now I'm outside and the kids are playing around. It's so good to hear kids' voices and playing. And it's a beautiful day. You can see some roses are starting to come in. Not quite as great as the cherry blossoms were, but still pretty awesome. And it's a stunning day out. This view, who can get tired of this view? Am I right? Am I right? I think so. So I just have 3rd grade yet to teach for today. And then I will do some lesson prep for next week. But all of the kids are so amazing and they're so smart. And we had a lot of fun today. Part of that is just part of the excitement is just being in class finally for the first time. And they were so energetic and it was fantastic. And I'm sure 3rd grade is going to be awesome. All of them were very excited to see me earlier today. They all said hi. And so it'll be a good class and it'll be a good rest of the day. And we'll see what it brings. Oh, I just love that school. It's so good. And I tell the kids that all the time. I know, again, I'm not supposed to, but I love coming to Ma'am. The principal's great. The vice principal is great. All of the other teachers are so wonderful and so engaging. The administrative staff, the nurse, the lunch ladies are even so wonderful and have gotten to know me. They know not to give me any pork or anything with gluten in it. They'll say, and they all everyone's so good. Overall, fantastic. I love being back at my schools, even if it does cause me a bit of extra stress and I'm not having as much free time on my hands. Not that there's anything to do in Imshil, but it's great to be back and I am looking forward to the rest of the semester, even though there's only a month and a half, 2 months at some of my schools. Actually, most of my schools, I have 2 months left until summer break. But, that's coming up. That's crazy. And then we'll be halfway through the school year already, which is kind of saddening because now that we're just starting, I'm really enjoying it, despite the stress, despite the maskne. I'm gonna coin that term, maskne. No, that is not a fun thing to have coined. Whatever, trademark, maskne. I will continue to give updates for my schools as they come up. Now that we're back in and things are getting a little bit more regular, I don't know how much I will have to say about each of my schools on a daily basis or a vlog basis, but I will throw on in whatever I can about my schools when I can and when I have something interesting to say. Thank you, as usual, for watching. I had a lot of fun talking about my schools, and I hope it gave you a little bit more insight into my life as a teacher here in Korea. Stay safe, everyone, at home. There's a lot going on in the US that I have a lot to say about, but I am sure this video is already pretty long, so I will keep it to Black Lives Matter, trans people matter, gay people matter, everyone on the LGBTQIAP+ spectrum matters, and we need to take care of our communities and build each other up in this time, because what has been going on in the US, the systematic racism and oppression of people of color and minorities, it's gone on for far too long. I have a couple of links down in the description, so check them out, of places that you can donate and places to find out more information if you're watching this and are like, what the hell is she talking about? So go do that. It's very, 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 very important. Make sure you're all getting registered to vote. And I'm sorry for making this suddenly so political at the end, but it needs to be said. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in episode 10, which will be my apartment tour. So bye, everyone. I love you all. Mwah, 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 mwah.
Let me forget about it.
I love